Hello, everybody. Want to welcome you again to our weekly Nugget here at Acts 2. This is just something for you to chew on and hold on to for the week. I'm reading from Luke chapter 21 and verse 15. Luke 21 and verse 15 is a precious promise that I think sometimes gets overlooked. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. Brothers and sisters, we're living in a time where people are being asked to speak up. We're living in a time where people are being challenged to not just stand still, but to say something. And I hear you. Honestly, sometimes I share the fear. It's the elephant in the room. I'm afraid if I open my mouth, I will say the wrong thing. What if there are questions that I can't answer? What if I share my faith and I don't know it all that well? Or what if I call evil by its right name and I get reprimanded for it? What if I don't say it right? I want you to know that the people who Jesus speaks this promise to in Luke chapter 21 know exactly how you feel. You see, this verse came while Jesus was telling them that for them, what was the end of the world? It was the destruction of Jerusalem. It was the destruction of their very temple, the pinnacle of their whole existence. And as they were contemplating the end, Jesus is now calling them to be around and to do what he's calling them to do at that time. And they're scared out of their minds. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. And it's to that fear that God speaks this text. So if you are wanting to do it right for God, but you're afraid of messing up what it is you have to say, Jesus speaks to you and says, I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. See, you're not alone. Not only are the disciples in that boat, but Moses was in that boat as well. You remember when Moses got called, one of the first things he told God to tell God, you got the wrong guy, is, I can't even speak. And God's response was, who made man's mouth? Is it not I? I will put the words in your mouth. And God says the same to us. It doesn't matter that your brother or sister is the one that got all the speech trophies. It doesn't matter that your cousin or the guy down the block is the one who got all the writing trophies. This is not about your gifts and talents. This is about speaking a word through the power of God. And God promises a very special promise. He says, I'm not only going to give you something to say, but I'm going to give you something to say that is so powerful that it can't be defeated. You know what that means? That means God can put a word in your mouth that long after you've been dragged off to prison, if that's the case, or even put to death, your words still cut like a knife and turn. That's God's promise to us. And even the imagery is exactly what I'm saying. When I looked up the word for mouth, I will give you a mouth. It can be translated opening in the face. mouth, but do you know what else it's also translated as? A sharpened edge of a sword. Oh, put those two things together, and you got a lethal combination. Can you imagine God taking your mouth and making the words sharpened edges of a sword? I got to confess, I know what it feels like for God to give you that gift. And here's the confession part. I haven't always used it the way God would have me to. Truth be told, all of us knows what it feels like to be on both ends of that gift. Speaking sharp words that cut and being cut by them. That's why God promises the other gift. Not just a mouth that's a double-edged sword, but the wisdom to use it right. God's got you covered. When He does it, wisdom is more than just knowing good stuff. Wisdom is knowing what to do and having the forthright to do it. See, God knows that left alone with a sharpened tongue, in the book of James, He said, no man can tame it. It's a terrible evil, and it can set fires everywhere. So God says for these last days, the promise that you and I need to claim is not just the gift of a sharpened tongue, but the gift of God's wisdom to know exactly when and how to use it. So don't worry. God says, I promise when the time comes for you to speak, if you will trust me and the courage that I place in you, I will put the right words in your mouth. Words that can't be refuted. Words that live in the minds of those who hear it long after you're gone. I'm Pastor Keith Gray, and I want you to chew on that this week. And may God empower you. God bless.